Hi Luca, it's me darling. Okay, I'm going to give you some exercises for your glutes. So I want you to extend the top leg. I'm going to probably do these in little videos. Extend the top leg, lift up that bottom waist, try and feel that gap, so don't let everything flop. Bend that bottom knee, bottom hand direct opposition to the top foot. Point the foot, a pointed foot will work the calf, the hamstrings and the glutes more than a flexed foot, which will work the quads, which you work a lot in rugby anyway. So you want to get the posterior part of your body, the glute med, min and glute max working. Keep the core tight, so draw the navel in. Imagine you've got something hot on your belly button and you're drawing it away. And you're just going to lift. So I want you to lift to the point where you will start feeling something going on here. It might be quite quick. Yeah, almost like a crampy feeling. Now I do quite a lot of these. You might only manage like 12 and then give it a rest, give it a little bit of a rub. So you can do 12 of those. Yeah, try not to rock back in the hips. So you want the hips facing forward, pushing down on that bottom hip. And then you can try these ones. Hold and do some circles. These are not easy. Yeah, notice that I'm not kind of doing this. I'm keeping really, really stable. Please feel free to come over, hon, and I can have a look at you. And then circle in the other direction. Yeah? Okay. And just gently drop. That might be all you might manage. You might manage 2 lots of 12, you might manage 2 lots of 12 circles, but just do what you can to start with. So side leg's really, really good. To really work the pelvis, as in keep the pelvis stable and in alignment, you can point the foot, take the leg forward and just flex it back. Point the foot and it's imagining that the pelvis is in cement. And 3 and 4. Good, well done. Obviously do the other side as well. I'll give you a more in-depth one later when I'm just rushing for time. I want you to kind of get on with them. Once you've worked your glutes, so you need your glutes really strong, that's a little bit more your side glute, but then you can obviously do your normal glute stretch. So take the foot and imagine that you're pushing that knee away. That might be enough if you've got very tight glutes, or you might be able to lift up and push. If you can't do this without that, put something underneath your head. Yeah, like a softball. So pushing in and you will feel the stretch in the glute muscle. That's a nice glute one. Another nice glute one is leg into tabletop. Use the same hand. Visualise that inner knee going towards the opposite shoulder. So you're pushing it in, yeah? And then you look up. The opposite hand you bring on the outside, the lateral side of the spine and just pull it over, but keep pushing with that hand and you will feel that's the piriformis, Luca. If this is really, really tight, then the sciatic nerve lives under the piriformis. You need to be doing this daily. Not an easy one to remember, so again, please feel free to give me a bell. Yeah, and then just gently over. I'll set you off on the other side actually. So again, this top's a little bit baggy. But what you don't want to do is just flop everything. You do the whole day. So you want to really lengthen. Now the full exercise is where hips are stacked, knees are stacked, ankles stacked, but sometimes lifting people rock. So it's not cheating, bending the bottom knee. You find this big, big gap underneath the waist. Even if you can't feel it, visualise that you're not popping down. Yeah, and then it's like you are lengthening. Whoops. Lengthening. It's like someone, get your mum to pull your foot. Yeah, so it's like your hips almost coming out of its socket. Don't rock back. It's really important that you take your set up. Almost have the hips a little bit facing forward. Pointed foot will obviously work the calf. So you find that a lot of rugby players are really quadricep dominant and their glutes are very, very weak. So you want to do like hip extension work, hip abduction work, which this is. Yeah, hip circles. So them ones, as many as you can, but don't, go crazy first time round. Sometimes I've got cyclists who come and they do like half a dozen and they're like, and then gently again, really extend opposite fingertip to opposite toe, and then circle. Yeah, so you might only manage 4 or 5 of these circles. If you're not feeling them, you're probably not recruiting right, so start your setup again. And you can do all sorts of things. You can do little pulses. You can check the pelvic stability by going forward and back, forward and back. Yeah, and then just give it a nice little rub onto your back. We won't do clamp today. I want to do hip extension. So again, either lift that bottom foot, or if the glutes are very, very tight, keep the foot on the floor. Yeah. You want to hold the stretch for about 20-30 seconds. And if you've got the time, just keep doing it. You'll find the more you stretch it, the better it is. The other thing is that piriformis one, which is my favourite stretch. Leg in tabletop, it's always the same hand. Visualise pushing that inner knee towards the opposite shoulder. Lift up, opposite hand, you just pull in. So it's like a pull of the lower leg and then a push into that knee. Oh, it's such an amazing stretch. You can, from there, Luca, take the hand away from the knee after about 20-30 seconds and take the hand that was on the lower leg over like this. I feel like I'm rushing you a bit, hon, so like I say, feel free to come over. And that will get more into the spine, but obviously go easy if the back's very tight. And then back to centre. Just give yourself a couple of supine spine stretches, which is really nice for that lower back. Yeah. And I know it's frustrating, huh? And then just gently over. Same with core work, look, you want to start working really in neutral spine. I'll show you a core exercise in a minute. And then this is the harder one. You want to come over onto an all-fours position. If the back feels nice and you've not been told that you can't do extension work, you can do some cat-to-cow. So you take a breath in, and then think about your tailbone, so the last vertebrae round about your kind of coccyx area, and then start. So these are really lovely to mobilise the joints. Often backs are very stiff. You can do that 5 or 6 times. Yeah, you can do some rolling cats where you take the hips in one direction round, the hips in the other, and dip. And again. This looks a little bit easier than it is, so if it feels like, oh, I'm not sure what I'm doing on my back, often, if you've never done it before, it's just the brain, the messages don't go straight away. And then find that position where you're not sticking like that, you're not like that, you've got a nice tabletop. Imagine you've just had a big Sunday dinner, let the belly just drop, and then the back drops as well. So that's why it's important to draw that navel in towards that spine. Push away from the mat, keep your gaze down to the floor, neck nice and long. Hip extension work. Take one leg out. Really draw the belly in. Think more about length of the leg. If you come too high, you're going to go into a dipped position. So you want to get your mum to watch you and see that your pelvis is level. And just lift and lower. Keep lifting up out of the breastbone. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. You can do this position, Usain Bolt's favourite one, but it's tough at first, so try and keep the hands down into a closed chain at first. And then hold it, and then bring it in, and in. So you can do maybe 8 of those. Then take it in again, flex the foot, draw, keep drawing, make sure that's not happened. Again, almost tuck the tailbone and then push up, push up, push up, push up. So you're isolating your glute max. And then gently down, just take a little shell stretch. And then do the other side, yeah? So again, you won't have to come round, this is just I'm showing you. So again, you're not sticking your bum up, you're not rounding, you've got that nice tabletop position. Draw the belly in, keep the core tight, lengthen the leg, point the foot, lift, squeeze. I know it sounds a bit weird and I am one of your mum's best friends. Well, I hope I am. But if you touch, you'll feel your glute working. Squeeze, keep the core tight, squeeze. squeeze, squeeze, yeah? And then the in and out ones, in and out. Wherever you feel comfortable, don't force it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah? And then if you can, come up into a plank position, push the mat away. So again, plank, you're not like this, you're not like that. You're in that really nice position, straight back. And to work again through the glute stretch, take one leg up, pull it in, tuck it under, take the knee out to the side, and that will get again into the bottom. Because your mum was saying there's slightly, possibly like some sciatic issue, so you want to stretch the bum as well. And just hold. Just rest into that position. You might have to have a little play around. And then you come up, and then if your quads are tight, you can bring that heel into bum. You might not get it there, don't worry, but it's a really nice quadricep stretch for the other leg as well. I know it's more glutes we're working on. Yeah? And then back to centre. So I'll just show you from this angle again. If you can't do pigeon, don't worry, just do some of the other two glute stretches. So I always find the easiest way, you can just pull the knee in and tuck it under. But I find it easier to come into plank, give it a little bit of momentum, pull it in, tuck the foot under, out, and then do it with your mum. If I've gone too quick, let me know and I'll slow it right down for you. So again, holding that lovely deep stretch in the glutes, and then bringing the heel into the bum for the quadricep stretch. Yeah, so hip extension work, very important, but try and make sure that your back's kind of not coming into that dipped position, so pelvis nice and still. Just have a little bit of a rock in and out. And then I'm just going to show you, again, this might feel a little bit frustrating. I've been working with quite a few of my men and Andy Locke in this. So what often people do, if they're in a gym, you'll see people in the yeah? Well, we don't make that noise, but what you want to do is try and move the spine sequentially. So there's a couple of things I just want you to work on. Lay down flat on the mat. Keep the length through the collarbones. Our rib cage, we don't want it to come up and out. So if the ribs come up and away like this, it moves the back. So you always want to think about the rib cage being closed, so in and together. So if you put your hands on your rib cage and you take a big inhale and think about the ribs coming up and out, a bit like an old-fashioned accordion, the fingers come away. And then as you exhale, draw the rib cage back in and the fingers touch, and that's where I want you to keep the ribs. And then if you move down, there's a little gap. Go easy on this one. Don't worry too much about the gap, but what I want you to do is think about the pubic bone, the belly button, and the hip bones, and they're like a diamond, and you want it level. So you never want the hip bones. Imagine you've got a tray of drinks. It's water this month for me, dry January. Imagine you've got a tray of drinks and you're going to tip them. In fact, it's easier probably to demonstrate with knees bent. Tray of drinks, dip them forward into the mat, and that gap increases. That's why you never have the hips higher than the pubic bone. And then now imagine that you're bringing the drinks into your belly button. So it's just a pelvic tilt, forward and back. Every time you come back into that lower back into the mat, think about just drawing the navel in a bit more as well. So just working the core. And then find that position, really important, where you are not going like that or like this, but you are in neutral. Yeah? Length across. So you've got the ribs in and down on the mat, a little gap underneath the lumbar spine. The pubic bone and the belly button are level, as are the hip bones. And all I want you to do, it looks super easy. The pelvic floor muscle that stops you weeing mid-flow, just kind of gently draw it in and up. And then all I want you to do is lift the heel of the right leg ever so slightly. In fact, I'll do left so you can see better. I'll take my arms like this. Lift, keep that navel to spine drawn in, and just gently out and gently in. Without any movement in the back. And now without shifting right to left, lift the other leg slightly, out. This is like a basic level, but if I'm honest, Luca, I find this harder than kind of doing all this kind of work, yeah? So again, what you're not doing is in and out like this. So the hip bones, I'll tell you again, the hip bones are level, pubic bone, everything's level, everything's flat. Little gap underneath the lumbar spine. You're not doing this, you're not doing that. The back does not move, does not change shape now. Draw the belly in, rib cage down. Take one leg out. Slowly back in. Keep drawing the navel in, make sure you breathe in. There's a tendency now that you want to do this or this. Try not to, just take it out. Back to centre. And again, keep drawing in, super slow. You know the old saying, slow wins the race? And back. Yeah, you can do some lifts, but again, when people come into like a chest lift, they squish the lower back down. There's a lot of nerves in the lower back. You don't want to do that. You want to keep in neutral. Yeah, little gap underneath the lumbar spine. Draw the belly in, push the ribs down. Just lift. Lower, not all the way back to the floor. Lift and lower. If you're unsure, hon, come and see me. The other thing, I want you to show you one more thing. Right, well, two more things actually, but I forgot one of them. So bridge, I don't know how the back feels. Sometimes bridge can feel beautiful on the back. Normally with bridge, I would always say to people, just gently come into neutral spine, feet towards the bum, and just have a gentle roll into imprint. I don't want you squashing them lower back kind of nerve areas, Lucas, so just kind of do a little roll and then up. If it doesn't feel right, don't do bridge. But once you do a bridge position, you can really kind of work the glutes by pushing the knees forward, tucking the tailbone and working here, drawing the belly in. You could just hold, it's going to strengthen the back muscles. I've remembered the other one actually. Or you can take one heel away and then just drop a little bit, drop and lift. Drop and lift. Videos are not ideal, Luca, really, if I'm honest. I'd probably prefer to see you, but if this all makes sense, great. And then drop and lift, so you're isolating this glute muscle. And again, drop. It's only like a little pulse. Drop, drop. So anything that will work the bum. Yeah? And then slowly down. Yeah. Just give yourself a little squeeze. So I've not shown you loads of reps, just because I don't want to force you into doing. I want you to kind of listen to your body. The other one to do that, which will more strengthen the back as well as the glutes, last one, hon, is onto your front. I need to wipe my camera. Onto your front. This is really important, Lucas, so really just look at what I'm doing first. What I don't want you to do is kind of start arching through the back when you lift your leg. Yeah, so when you're laid in a prone position, I want you to push your pubic bone, push your pubic bone into the mat. And then really important, this next one, think about that belly button again, you've got something boiling hot underneath it. And I want you to draw that navel away from that boiling hot coal. Keep the core engaged, really important that you keep the core engaged. Point the foot of the right leg and just lift a couple of inches and squeeze. Lift, so you're not lifting like this. Yeah, you're keeping everything still. Lift, squeeze, squeeze. Draw the tummy in, the other side, lift. It's a tiny little lift of the leg. Yeah? And then again, I always do like a nice shell stretch position to stretch the back. Sometimes the big toe together is nice as well. And that position. Yeah? So my friend, hopefully that helped. Listen to your body. God, my screen is filthy. It's got like a haze. Maybe it makes me look 25. All right, babe, give me a ring if there's any problem. Bye. Give my love to your mum.